We'll start by taking refuge. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I go for refuge in the Buddha. I go for refuge in the Dharma. I go for refuge in the Sangha. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. So let us begin with our 15 minutes of seated meditation. As soon as I find the timer. Let's chant the Gatha on opening the sutras. This Dharma, incomparably profound and minutely subtle, is rarely encountered, even in hundreds of thousands of millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, hold and maintain it. May we completely realize the true mind of all Buddhas. All right, relax, put your feet up if you like. We're not standing on too much ceremony here. The world is full of project managers and clients. If you've ever had the occasion to be a project manager, you understand that that is the anglicization of the original Sanskrit for bearer of bad news. Construction won't be done on time. Oh, the equipment won't come in. Some guy in the Suez Canal tried to make a K-turn and he didn't fit, and I don't know what he was thinking, but we're going to be late. And so on and so forth. Anything that can come up, a project manager is going to be the guy that needs to tell someone else the bad news. And we're all either clients or project managers at different times throughout the same day, no doubt. So on the one hand, the project manager is the bearer of bad news. But then on those occasions where things work out like they're supposed to, the general response you get is, what do you want, a gold star? That's how it's supposed to be. So I think in general, humans have this tendency to notice the negative more than the positive. And I think that's probably why the Buddha decided that his first teachings would be stay balanced. Don't go off the road on this side or don't go off the road on that side. Just stay cool. Stay in the middle of the road. It's all good. And the other ones were, yeah, life is sort of uncomfortable sometimes. And you're going to notice it more than you notice when it's good. But that's just how we are. Suffering is something that comes very natural to us for whatever reason. And another thing that struck me lately is that everybody probably always figures that this is the worst time in history ever. Nothing worse. Black Death? Puh, piece of cake compared to what we're dealing with now. Floods, wildfires, everything else, pandemics. The world is ending. Again, noticing the bad stuff rather than whatever good stuff there might be. And it's just something that we have to deal with. And of course, the Buddha had the other three of the truths that told us, how to do that, why it was that you can get out of it, and how to get out of it. But we still at heart want to notice bad stuff. That's not to say that there isn't some bad stuff that happens. There's things going on not only in this age, but in every age that are just not right. Fortunately, we've got a practice that's supposed to help us get through all of the not right. And I suppose the not going off into the ditch on this side of the road or the other is acceptance. Yes, these are how things are. It makes us suffer. Even if it's only temporarily, it feels like the end of the world and that it'll never stop. But while you're going through it, it sure as hell feels like it's never going to stop. So, Seong-san talked about the primary point, and that's when you know, your pendulum swings back and forth and back and forth, and then it gets a little toward the center, and then it stops, and that's the primary point. That's zero, right? The ways that we accept things, not saying that we justify them or that we think they're good or that we like them even, but just to acknowledge that these things are happening, is through the practice of Kshanti Paramita. Kshanti is usually translated as patience, toleration, enduring hardships and difficulties. And note that it says Kshanti Paramita, and Paramita is the perfection of. And Kshanti doesn't mean that you just are patient and that you're perfectly patient. Perfection in this case is an ongoing process. We're perfecting rather than being perfect. It's like when you polish something, you're in the process of making it perfect. It's not now, it may never be, but you're going through perfection. So there's a lot of things going on these days that it's really tough to be patient with. And I'm not just talking about the person in the grocery line who's decided to take the $100 grocery bill out of the wallet 1 penny at a time and then loses count and has to start all over again. Not that sort of patience. Not that sort of toleration. Not that sort of acceptance of reality as it is. There are undoubtedly some bad things going on these days. Some things that we wish weren't going on. Being patient doesn't mean that we're passive about it, though. Our acceptance isn't just laziness. It's like, there's a war. Yeah. It's not disengaged acceptance. Our patience has an active part to it. Another one of the paramitas is virya, and that's often translated as perseverance, energy. It's the root word for virility, virya. So it's energized, it's active, it's engaged. So between the two, we accept, and our action is that we don't settle. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In December, and just a couple of days ago, there were a couple of people who set themselves on fire outside of the Israeli consulate, and the more recent one was in front of the Israeli embassy, protesting what's going on in the Gaza. And there are also, of course, another number of conflict zones in the world today, but nobody's setting themselves on fire over them. Now, there are those, and I'm not going to quibble with them one way or the other. There are those, however, who consider suicide wrong. Just plain old, no gray area, just wrong. It's an act of violence, taking life, even if it's your own. However, the gray area is, in these cases, we probably remember the photograph of the Vietnamese monk in Saigon, now known as Ho Chi Minh City, setting himself on fire in the middle of a busy road, which was, by the way, not to protest the Vietnam War, but to protest the Vietnamese regime's treatment of Buddhists and Buddhism. And there have been any number of Tibetans who have self-immolated over the past few years over the treatment of Tibetans and the attitude of or toward Tibet from the PRC. And there are those who would say just flat out, nope, wrong, bad. But there have been times when maybe not so black and white. You know, I think about the 10 who died on hunger strike in Long Kesh prison in 1981. I think about the guys self-immolating in front of the Israeli consulate and embassy. I think about the monk. Think about the Tibetans. And what if they were doing this not out of a sense of despair, not out of a sense of wanting to commit some sort of violent act toward themselves, but what if they did these things to call attention, and in a really big way, And that's how they're saving all beings. If the motivation is not I, me, but putting it out there for the whole world, basically. Hey, notice this. This is not right. Here, I'll do something that'll you'll notice and maybe think about. So the rest of us that aren't on hunger strike or setting ourselves on fire or any of that, how do we practice this patience, tolerance, forbearance, and energy? What are we actually doing about any of these things that we accept are happening? Can't deny it. Can't come up with some, oh, there's, war is empty excuse. So what are we doing? What is our virya? Do we think that ranting on Facebook is going to be good enough? Like, yeah, I'm going to preach to the converted and that's going to, oh, wait, they already think this, so never mind. But I'll change the minds of those, oh, they'll never see it. What are we doing with our energy and our forbearance? How are we staying not in this ditch or not in that ditch, but staying in the middle of the road? And I don't mean that as in some sort of like, it's middle of the road, not good, not bad. But as in the middle path, not going to either extreme. How, as bodhisattvas, do we do that? How are we going to actually confront something that we think is wrong, unwholesome, bad, whatever, and create an environment where that is going to cease at some point or another? Someone will hopefully see sense about these things. And I don't think that very many of us are going to set themselves on fire. And I don't think that is necessarily the best way that most of us can go about this, even if we're doing it for the sake of all beings. But what are we doing? How are we practicing this virya? Where is our energy going? Are we practicing as if our, so to speak, bad illusion, but hair is on fire? And extend that strength and practice in all matters of our lives? Who have you helped today? All right, let us go and have another 15 minutes of seated meditation. Let's chant the Heart Sutra. Mahaprajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, when practicing deeply the Prajna Paramita, perceives that all five skandhas are empty and is saved from all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. That which is form is emptiness. That which is emptiness, form. The same is true of feelings, perceptions, impulses, consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are marked with emptiness. They do not appear or disappear, are not tainted or pure, do not increase or decrease. Therefore in emptiness, no form, no feelings, perceptions, impulses, consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no color, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of mind, no realm of eyes, and so forth, until no realm of mind consciousness, no ignorance, and also no extinction of it, and so forth, until no old age and death, and also no extinction of him, no suffering, no origination, no stopping, no path, no cognition, also no attainment, with nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva depends on Prajna Paramita, and the mind is no hindrance. Without any hindrance, no fears exist, far apart from every perverted view, and dwells in nirvana. In the three worlds, all Buddhas depend on Prajna Paramita and attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore know that Prajna Paramita is the great transcendent mantra, is the great bright mantra, is the utmost mantra, is the supreme mantra, which is able to relieve all suffering and is true, not false. So proclaim the Prajna Paramita mantra. Proclaim the mantra which says Gate Gate Para Gate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Gate Gate Para Gate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Gate Gate Para Gate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. And we'll do our dedications of merit. I've got a few, and then I'll open it up to you guys. All sentient beings are of one seamless body and pass quickly from birth to death. We remember those who cared for us and are gone, those who are ill, those who are at war, who are hungry and who are in pain. May they heal and have peace. We especially dedicate our service to Simon Reese Gartland, Tom Gartland, Kate Ida, Mike Gingywood. Anyone you would care to add in?
Those living in a whirlwind of action, unguided by perfections.
Anyone else?
Bailey Sheridan, Joanne Sheridan, Iris McDonald, Clarice Ferrer.
Anyone else?
Yes, one for Palestine and one for all in prison, and a special one for the recent passing of Aaron Bushnell, who sacrificed himself. May his sacrifice awaken all our eyes to injustice. Thank you.
All beings in the 10 directions, subject to the greed, hatred, and delusions of themselves and others. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, Bodhisattva Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, Maha Prajna Paramita. And we'll do our faith and practice vow. I will never retreat and will be firm in my mind in this correct Dharma. I will escape from the samsaric cycle of birth and death and definitely will see my original face. I will be sure to inherit the life of insight of the Buddha and save all sentient beings. Brother Hangdal.
Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. Birds and trees and stars and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We practice and recite this for all beings in grateful thanks to our many guides along the way.
And we'll recite the 4 great Bodhisattva vows. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to help them all. Delusions are countless. We vow to see through them all. Opportunities to awaken are infinite. We vow to embrace them all. The Buddha way is endless. We vow to embody it. Life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes swiftly by, and opportunities to awaken are easily lost. Strive to realize your true nature, and do not squander your time by night or day. And thanks for joining.